On this week's episode of Kicking It with Killa, I sit down and give you my 4 tips to have professional sounding music. So pull up your seat, spark that brain, and let's kick it.
We kicking it, kicking it, kicking it. We ain't taking no L's. I don't care how they feel. We kicking it.
Welcome to Kicking It with Killa. Of course, I'm your host, DJ Killa Noise, and I want to talk to you about music quality. Now, last week we sat down, we had a conversation with the music director for KISS 101.7, and we discussed that one of the things, the very first thing that we need to have in order to play your music on the radio is good music sounding quality. All right. So if your music doesn't sound like other songs sound on the radio when they're playing, then there's a big possibility that it might not get played on that radio station. So I want to sit down today with you and tell you my 4 steps. Now, this is my personal feeling. My 4 steps on how to get good quality sounding music. So the first thing I want to talk about on that list is making sure you have some vocal clarity, some good quality sounding vocals. Now, of course, we could talk about the microphone. That could be the first thing that we want to work on. Of course, you can get yourself a microphone like an MA67 or a Neumann TLM. Your microphones can cost from anywhere from under $100 to well over $2,000. Now, I'm not going to tell you need to go out and buy the most expensive microphone, but stay within your budget and pick the right microphone that's for you. Of course, you want to make sure that you have a condenser mic. That's probably the first thing. Let's think about the condenser mics. That usually helps you out to have that good quality sounding. If you're able to get to a store and kind of just test out different microphones, find out which one sounds best for you. But you do not need to break the bank. The next step in making sure that you have great quality vocals is to make sure that wherever you're recording, you have a dead sound. What do I mean by dead sound? I mean, not like a room full of zombies following you or anything. But what I mean by dead sound is when you're recording, you're not having a whole bunch of echo and reverb coming back to you without it actually being in the mix. I mean, obviously, the best place probably to record your vocals would be a closet. But if you're not able to do that, what you can do is a couple different tips. You can walk around the room, yell, clap your hands a little bit, and see what spot happens to have the less echoing. And that might be the best spot for you to do your vocals. Or you can get creative and build your own sound panels. I mean, there's a lot of videos out there on YouTube, so you can definitely look it up and figure out how to build one of those. That's an option. Or you can go on Amazon and order yourself some foam panels. As you can see right there in the background, I have some myself. It definitely helps out with having some great sounding vocals, no unwanted echo, unwanted reverb in those vocals there. So next thing we want to go and talk about is the pop filter. The purpose of the pop filter is to make sure we're watching out for all the P's and T's, all that stuff that really kind of pierces your ears when you're listening to it. Get yourself a pop filter, set it up, and that's going to help out that issue. Now, I'm not going to sit here and talk about mic distance too much, right? But you have ears. Put the microphone up, figure out what placement sounds best for your vocals. Of course, you don't want to be too far away, and you don't want to be too close to the microphone. You can think about mic positioning whatever way. It could be up, it could be down, in your face, away from you. Whatever sounds best to you, that will be the way to go, all right? I mean, we can dig deep in the weaves, and I can talk to you about the different positioning, like having the microphone upside down, how it does that. Has a different effect if you have a certain voice. But you kind of have to listen to it. I feel like you would understand if you're in the music game. I feel like you have an idea, at least, of what good sounding vocals might be. Which brings me into the next step. When you're recording your vocals, you want to make sure that you don't record it so loud that you start getting a little pop. I hear that a lot. A lot of people send me some music, and I can hear like, oh, that vocals were very hot. What they call it hot, it means it's going right into the red. You want to make sure you keep yourself out of that. So my tip for you is to make sure you record, make sure it's going no higher and stay in between negative 12 dB up to about negative 3 dB. For me, I think the best spot will be around negative 9 dB, so it kind of gives you a little bit of room, right? Therefore, if you're not going higher than that negative 12 dB, and if you happen to get louder in certain spots, you got that wiggle room to mess around with. Now that we've gotten past that, you learn how to record your vocals. You're not too hot, you're not too far away, you're having a decent mic, you're recording in the dead spot. Let's talk about the mix down. Now, I can't tell you how many times I've been in the studio as a recording engineer. The group comes in, or the artist comes in, they record their vocals. They say, hey, can you bounce that track for me? So I go ahead and give them a copy of the track so they can go home and listen to it. And the next thing I know it, they're trying to pass that same song off to somebody so that they can play it. And it hasn't even been mixed down yet. Although it might sound good to you at that time and you're excited that you got that track done, you need to make sure that we have some good quality mix down going on. So, the easiest route to go about it is you can look up, if you plan on being an engineer, then dig deep into it and learn how to do that, right? But if you're just an artist, you don't have to worry about being an engineer. So there's a couple ways you can go about it. As an artist, and you're not the engineer, the best way to do it is to go ahead and record your vocals, bounce it down to stems, send that good quality vocals along with the song to an engineer that can mix everything down. And you've made everything nice and easy, right? So now I get this mix down started and I'm listening to the vocals and I realize that they actually sound pretty good. So it makes less work for me to have to do. I don't have to do extra work in trying to turn crap into a cake, if you understand what I'm saying. Make sure you take that couple extra steps to make sure that engineer mixes your music down. You don't really need those big $1 million studios like you used to back in the days, right? Back in the days, you would go into the studio, you'd be amazed, you have this big track board. You don't really need that no more. We've gone from analog to digital. So you could damn near have just a computer and good sounding speakers and make it work, right? So, my advice to you, learn how to bounce your music into stems. Send it to an engineer that knows how to mix everything down and give you the sound that you're looking for so that they can get that song out there for you. Now, just to give a little behind the scenes on with engineering, the first step that I take with engineering and mixing vocals down is I make sure that the levels are right. Right? Before I do anything, before putting any effects in there, I mess with the levels, right? So once the levels are sounding right, there might be certain spots where the vocals might be clashing with a particular instrumental or whatever may be the case. So instead of trying to move that vocal up or down, I might have to change the frequency. So a lot of times when you're on the same frequency, and this is getting too deep for some people, right? But sometimes when you're on the same frequency, it's going to clash. But if you just need to change that frequency a little bit, and now they have their own space because everything has its own space in the song, and that's the purpose and to be able to mix down the music and having it sound good. Step 3, playback. All right. A lot of times you take your music, you go out there, you put it in that system, you start playing it, and in the system you're listening to, you want to turn that bass up because you want to hear it knock a little bit more, right? Wrong. That's not the step to do. What you want to do once you take your music to play back and listen to it, you want to listen to a professional sounding song first, right? Listen to that song, a song that's kind of close to the way that you want your song to end up sounding. Listen to that song, play your song. Does it sound like it's on the same quality? Does the mix down sound currently the same? Listen to that. Make notes, take down little notes. All right, vocals sound a little bit too loud on this one. Or the beat is just not sounding right. So you want to make sure you take and listen back to what you have going on so that it can bring you into that last step, mastering. A lot of times, in my personal opinion, if I'm the engineer and I'm mixing down the vocals, I want to send it to somebody completely different with a fresh ear to go ahead and do the mastering. And mastering is a step that I've seen that a lot of people seem to pass by. The purpose of the mastering is it now brings it up to that industry level, right? Kind of gives you a little bit more bass, a little bit more compression, whatever may be the case over the whole song itself. Now, I need you to remember this. Somebody said this to me a long time ago. With mastering, it's simple as this. In, out. If the mix is not good, there's nothing that the mastering can do to make it sound even better. If the vocals are too loud in the mastering process, you're not going to make the vocals dip down a little bit more, right? Mastering is that icing on the cake. You've taken your time, you've made that mixture, you put that cake in the oven, it's ready. Now put that frosting on top, put that icing on top of there, and now that cake is ready to be served. So that's my process. Let that help you out to get you to your goal so that you can give your music to a DJ, to a radio personality, get your music played on the radio, get your music played in the club. And then when that song comes on, it doesn't sound like it's not the same as the other professional songs that's out there. It doesn't have that dip. You can definitely notice a difference when you're mixing. The DJ's out there playing in the club and they play one song and then all of a sudden it goes into another song that's not have that doesn't have that same high quality sounding music. Now it can mix right into the song and you're like, all right, we're good to go. And that's your couple tips to having good quality sounding music. Let me know what your process is. There might be a couple things I left out that you do. Put that thing down below. Of course, as always, doesn't matter what season you're in, whether it's the fall back, the get back, or the comeback. Remember, you are special, you have purpose. So get up out there and get it. Of course, I'm your boy DJ Killa Noise, and you've been locked into Kicking It with Killa.